Namaste, everyone. This is Thursday. This is our Yen Day. This is Guru Day. This is like the tail end of, well, almost the tail end of the work week, where we can enjoy the weekend. And as I was preparing my lesson plan this morning, I was considering, what my subject matter was going to be. And I remembered seeing this quote on social media, and it came with a picture of celebrities. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I liked to look into what celebrities were doing and would get the little celebrity magazines, but I haven't been interested in that since probably my 30s. I think as we get a little older and more mature, we kind of lose our fascination with that pop culture. But anyway, this quote that I saw the other day was really concerning women who are actresses in the Hollywood scene. So it was a picture of Reese Witherspoon. And I don't know if you know this, but Reese grew up in the Nashville area. And the other one was Jennifer Gardner. Now, both of these women are over 50 now. And I can't remember the exact quote of what it was talking about, other than saying that they were giving props to Reese Witherspoon for creating projects and opportunities for women in the industry over 50. And it went on to say how, most actresses are in their 20s, early 30s. Once you get into the latter 30s and into the 40s, there's only a tiny percentile. So say 80 something percent 20s. Less than 20% is in 30s and 40s. And only 1 to 2% of the acting roles go to women over 50. And this is something, if we pay attention to shows that we watch, if we pay attention to, any movies that come out, it does seem to be the case. Meanwhile, actors and men have this longevity in that career. In fact, they seem to get more distinguished and more sought after with age, but yet they're paired a lot of times with women in their 20s. And so basically this quote in this post was concerning giving props to Reese Witherspoon for basically seeing that this is an issue in the industry and trying to do something about it. And basically said, create your own opportunity. And so that's what I want you to think about. How can we create our own opportunity? I love that, these women are so talented, not only with their acting, but they've been in the industry long enough. They know how to direct, they know how to produce, they know what's involved in that. And they're taking on these roles to give women over 50 the opportunity to keep working. So, and then just to bring in a little thing that just happened to me after seeing that quote earlier this week, this is the time of year where I start thinking about my retreats. What retreats am I going to do for the next year? And so as I was brainstorming, there's a couple ones that are given that I had to roll over from this year to next. And I was thinking about Earth Day because Earth Day is a time of year where I like to stay in the United States and go somewhere where I can be outdoors and explore something beautiful and just celebrate the fact that we live on this beautiful planet. And as I was thinking about, well, where do I want to create next year's Earth Day retreat? I was thinking about this place in Colorado that I haven't been. I was also considering just staying local and doing Fall Creek Falls. But I gave Reiki to someone on Monday. And as she was leaving the Reiki session, she said, and by the way, I really wish you would do Sedona for next year's Earth Day. She goes, if you design it, I want to sign up. Well, she's not the first person that's told me they wanted to go to Sedona. There was, a couple other people within the last year who have mentioned me doing Sedona. And then when I posted on Facebook one day, someone else said Sedona. And I've kind of laughed every time someone said Sedona because I was thinking, I just did that in 2021. But I came home and I was thinking about what she said, and I was talking to Rob, and I'm like, several people, she's not the only one that's wanted Sedona. Maybe I should do Sedona. Sedona's a magical place. It's a gorgeous place. It's somewhere that I would like to go back to. So basically, I just decided, okay, I contacted Chrissy because she needs to be my chef. And I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And she said, sure. I literally designed it overnight. I posted it, and within 24 hours, it was sold out. That does not normally happen with my retreats. It usually takes weeks, months, and most of the time they don't even sell out. I just get a group together. And so basically, I'm sharing this with you because sometimes instead of waiting for an opportunity, we just need to put our bootstraps on and create our own opportunity. And so pay attention to what shows up, pay attention to what inspires you, pay attention to what people may come to you and suggest, and maybe it's in your power to do something about it. So that's our inspiration for today. I know I've brought up this theme before, that we're all co-creators, and that's from the beginning of our life to the very end. So we are going to start on the mat in the pentacle pose, which is the one where we're laid out in a big X shape. And just so you know, there will be a moment where we're crossing the legs on our back and hugging in. So if you by chance have difficulty grabbing the back of your thigh, the top of the knees to do that, you may want to strat to bring extension to your arms to create that formula. Otherwise, I'll meet you on the mat. So let's expand open into the star-shaped position. The arms overhead, the legs out in front. And be at liberty to take up as much room as you want to. So it's okay to spill off the mat. And I would suggest closing the eyes, beginning your breath work. But then also acknowledging the cavity of the chest, that place that's often sunken in. And notice it has no choice in this shape but to uplift. And that's a good thing that it's opening up the heart center, because it's our heart and it's our soul that inspires us to create. Notice when you're breathing in, you may feel a little bit more of an exaggeration of the curvature in your low back. And how that exaggeration minimizes as you breathe out. On your next out breath, go ahead and cup your knees, but keep your thighs super wide. Ankles, feet relaxed. And notice if you're gripping so hard that your buttocks is curling away from the floor. If that's the case, let go of pulling so much so that your low back can anchor down to the floor. This obviously is getting into the hips, but if you're fairly open in the hips, you may not feel sensation at first, but it may begin to pipe up the longer we hold it. In true yin style, we hold the poses longer. We're going to work with our hips in second chakra, which is also the low band of the belly and back, because this particular energy center is about creativity. If you weren't feeling sensation before, notice now. And then we're going to take it into a counter move. So we're going to draw the legs together. And you're going to hook the left leg over the right knee. And this is where, if your arms can't fully reach behind your leg or on top of the right knee, then you can use that strap. So basically, it's Gomukhasana legs, cow face legs, but supine on our backs. So if you close your eyes and as you're hugging and squeezing in, notice your experience in the outer left hip or in the IT band region where that connective tissue lies. Let's step the right foot to the floor, but we're going to keep this left leg crossed. Once you drop the right foot, the arms are going to splay open. You're going to roll to the inside of your right foot so the knees topple over to the left. Now, in this variation of the twist, it's going to help to stretch out that QL muscle in the back, but you're also receiving a twist. But notice the twist is primarily focused on the second, third, and fourth chakra. If this is too much for your back whatsoever, you can uncross the legs. Make it simpler. But regardless, affirm mentally within, I am opening myself up to a new flow of creative energy within. I'm opening myself up to a new flow of creative energy within. And on your next in-breath, let's slowly turn the knees back up. And we're going to send the knees immediately to the right with the same crossing of the legs, left over right. This time, however, we're going to turn the head. So try your attempts at turning your head towards your left arm. And if that's aggravating for any reason, you can turn your head to the right shoulder instead. Close your eyes and breathe slowly and deeply. That creative life force energy awaiting to be awakened is getting activated from these positions. We're moving it from the hips up to the third chakra, to the place of strength and willpower. We're moving it higher into the heart, to the indwelling place of the soul, to spark inspiration. We're moving it up into the throat center, the place where we live and speak and express creativity and truth. Up to the third eye, where we envision, and to the crown, to the place of union and wisdom. Let's unroll from the twist, uncross the legs, recross right over left, picking up the feet, wrapping the hands behind the thigh or using a strap, or holding the left knee. Back to Gomukhasana legs. And see if there's any way you can pull them in enough to at least have some compression on the low part of the abdomen, maybe even higher to the upper band. cross comparing the two sides without judgment. Inhale, open the arms, set the feet back down. Keep the right leg crossed if you can. Roll to the interior side of your left foot so the knees go to the right. We're going to keep our head motionless for this first one. But we can still affirm, I am opening myself up to a new flow of creative energy within. Inhale, let's draw the knees back through center. And immediately let the knees drop to the left. But then you'll turn your head in the second one towards one or the other shoulder, depending on how it feels. So even though the inspiration can stem from the heart, the ideas and the brain power behind it will come from the higher centers. So feel as though when you're tapping into your breath that you're purposely creating a tidal wave of breath to roll from the hips to the belly to the chest and on up. Because we have the legs hooked in this twist, you might even feel the pull or stretch even all the way into the buttocks in the direction of that piriformis. Now let's go ahead and unroll from the twist, uncross the leg, turn completely to your right side, push down through the left hand, and come up. As you come up, we're going to bring the feet together for Baddha Konasana or butterfly. So think about the history of your back. If you need to keep it straight, you're going to pull the feet in and keep the back long. If you have a healthy back, though, create some space, more space in between the legs, and then drape the spine over. Rounding down. And this is our counter pose after the twist. And the next one will be a nice counter pose as well. Notice how it takes you into this quiet refuge within. And activate a very light, whispering, sounding Ujjayi breath. Slowly begin to roll up. And we're going to stand to do dangling pose. So find your own way to stand. By the way, I had some women in my new gentle class ask me if I could teach different ways to get up and down from the floor. So I think my gentle classes next week will consist of that. But just kind of roll back and forth on your feet to solidify them down. And then take your arms up overhead. Gaze towards your hands and feel the activation in your core, the squeeze in your mid-back. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down through the middle. Go ahead and softly bend your knees. Separate your hands. Then come into dangling pose. Now, if you want it to be more intense, you can cross your arms. I'm going to stay in ragdoll. A light Ujjayi breath is fine here, but I also enjoy taking the longer out breath in this pose. It helps you to settle into it. It'll help the resistance dissolve. On the next inhale, we're going to step the right foot back. And we're going to go ahead and put down the back knee. But I do suggest padding today for where we're going. Because not only do we need the back knee padded, but we're actually going to walk the hands over to the right. At the same time, we're going to pick up that right foot and stand it back behind us and then come up to this variation of the half lunge where your torso is actually turned away from the knee. So I'm going to give you some different ideas. One idea is to stay here. So if your left hip is really tight, this is my suggestion. The second variation is to reside here. And it's okay to shrink the space in between your ear and shoulder. You can rest your head there since it's yin or a yin approach. And then your third option is actually something that I kind of created. It's a hybrid blend between two poses. So you could take the left hand down to the floor and let your head and right arm hang free. This way, you're stretching the left hip, the right side of your neck, and the right shoulder. Now, when I was in the studio doing this, I don't know if you can tell, but my hand's actually hovering above the floor. By the end of the hold, my fingertips were touching. That's how much that connective tissue opened up and became more porous. And wherever your chronic tension is held, notice if it's beginning to form. I hold a lot of tension in my jaw, and I just noticed my jaw wanting to lock up. So to avoid that, I'm separating my lips, 2 rows of teeth. And softening the muscles in the face. All right. Now, lower that right hand. Take your time turning the right foot behind you onto the mat this time, spinning your torso back to the front of the mat. And you can curl the back toes under, pop up that knee. Feel free to step over that blanket, and you can move that blanket and form downward facing dog. Now, earlier this week, I was talking a lot about equanimity, whether it was equanimity in the foundation of our poses or creating equanimity in our mindset or emotional body. But since we're in a yin practice, I'm not really concerned about you having the equanimity in your feet. In fact, you may feel more pressure down through your hands. Let's take one last breath. Exhale, we're going to drop to the knees. We're going to untuck the toes and roll down to the abdomen. Now, I'm going to give you a choice here to separate the feet, to stack onto Sphinx arms. Maybe this is best. Or you can turn your hands a little more outward and push into the palms and lift your elbows to seal. Find one of those positions to be in. Softening and disengaging the glutes and the legs. Affirming, I rise joyfully to create any new opportunities. I rise joyfully in order to create any new opportunities. So you guys know my son is a drummer and has really played since he was young, very young. And last year, he created this band in high school with his 2 best friends, and they were called the Nashtown Trio. And I loved the name, and they played a lot of kind of blues rock, and They were very talented, but at the age that they're at, one of the boys is getting ready to graduate. He has a girlfriend. He's going to be going off to college, and he got a job. And then the other boy also equally got a job. So they weren't planning practices and they weren't playing or trying to find any gigs. They were basically just more or less doing the school stuff. And so Gabriel mentions to me one day, he's like, I really want to play out, but this is going on with this friend and this is going on with this friend. And, we've just decided to, let the band go. And I was like, well, it's time for you to create something new. If they're not going to do it with you, and this is what you want to be doing, then you're going to have to find other players. You're going to have to ask other people and create it yourself. All right, on the exhale, let's roll down towards the face and slip the hands under the shoulders. Push up, draw the feet more together, and power back into extended child's pose. By that, I mean stay active in the stretch. Getting the traction in your back. And then inhale, pop back up table. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now, from this downward facing dog, we're going to have to reestablish ourselves in that position, which is that kind of hybrid blended pose. And I'm going to turn myself on the mat so that I will actually be facing you guys when I'm in it. So you can either come down to tabletop, and then you can swing that right foot forward, or you can step it forward. Either way, though, you're probably going to want that blanket or extra padding underneath that back knee. We'll walk the hands down the long edge of the strap and take the left foot now behind us. And I would suggest going ahead and lifting the hands. This is a great place to begin. Now, if you end up staying here in this shape, look how my right knee is collapsing towards you. We actually want to keep the hip turned open in order to achieve that or even sink into it, okay? So this could be your first position. Maybe you're okay being here. Maybe you're okay stacking onto a fist or wrist with your right hand and allowing the ragdoll to come in with your head, your neck, and left arm. I'm really shocked at how much higher this hand is in comparison to the other side. Notice with your body what's happening, how it differs. Relax and breathe. All right. We're going to walk the hands back out, and we're going to drop the right knee down. Okay, I'm just thinking we may need a blanket spread out for this because I'm already feeling my knees on this hardwood floor. Basically, we're going towards frog. So you may or may not need that extra padding like I did, but we flip the feet out, we open the thighs out, and then we drop to forearms. This is not my favorite pose. If you want to go deeper, you can push back away from your arms a slight degree. And if this is too intense, something that's helpful is taking a bolster underneath the pelvic floor. And it gives you just a little area to rest. And I'm going to keep the bolster here because it's the second time I've done it today. It's a big one. I promise we won't stay in it very long because I can't. In fact, let's just hold it 3 more breaths. And if anybody's watching this video later and you want to hold it longer, press the pause button. After that 3rd breath, you can begin to exit out. And once you do that, let your legs move out in front of you. Give a little rocking to the knees. Maybe rub the legs up and down. And then we're going to set up. For our final pose. Now, I'm going to use a bolster for this. And if you need blocks for your feet, you can have them set out in front. It's a supported bridge, but it's a little different than just using a block under the sacrum. We're actually using the blocks for the feet. Now, if you already want to show you this pose, if you've been in it before and you're like, yeah, that doesn't work for me, it's okay to do your own supported bridge. But in this variation, we still want the shoulders, head, and neck to come down. And then everything else is propped up. Arms in an A-frame position. And I'm a little chilly, so I'm going to take the blanket over my body. So this is our pose for Shavasana. So make sure it's going to work for you and that you've provided enough comfort to stay a little while. And then I want you to affirm mentally within, I am a creative, spiritual being. I am a creative, spiritual being. I am a creative, and spiritual being. And if you want that to be on repeat, you can keep it consistent in your mind. Or you can use it as a technique to get into a quieter place and then let it go. I am a creative spiritual being. Go ahead and begin to breathe deeper. Wiggle the hands, fingers, and toes. Finding an exit, a safe avenue out of the pose. Usually that's bending the knees and just pulling away to one side. Coming up. Bring hands to prayer. Stating it one last time. I am a creative and spiritual being. Setting your intention to continue to co-create. The light in me honors and acknowledge the light in me. Namaste.